Hey guys, okay, I'm going to keep this pretty short, but I just wanted to show you guys some of the tools that you can use to build your iPhone application interface for the second half of the Mega Module that will be due on the following Saturday. Um, the first thing I want to show you guys is Interface Builder. So just find Interface Builder. You can Spotlight for it, or it should be in your Applications menu somewhere, but Spotlight's the easiest thing to do. Open it up, and you should be prompted with this first choose a template window. And it's as easy as this. If you're using a machine that has the iPhone SDK installed, all you're going to have to do is click on Cocoa Touch, and then you're going to have these four options right here, and just choose Application. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that in Interface Builder and in Dashcode, which I'll show you guys in a second, um, you're not making, so what we're doing right now is obviously building just mock-ups of the interface, and these applications would allow us to actually go forward and build the actual application around the interface. And so clearly we're not really using the applications for what they're intended to do. So some of the tools are a little bit tricky to use, and we have to kind of tweak them to do what we want, which is just allow us to position elements inside this window right here so that we can take a screenshot and upload them to Blackboard and talk about them. So anyway, here is your window, and you're actually going to build the interface within this rectangle right here. And the way to do that is we go to Tools and open up the library, and this will show us all of the elements that we have that we can take from here and just drag and put right into this window right here. So you can look through them and play around with them. You'll notice that most of them should be pretty familiar if you've seen an iPhone anywhere or had the opportunity to play with one. So let's see what we can do. So I'm going to take the title piece, I'm going to snap it right into place. You'll notice that Apple configured this application in such a way that it reconfigures the elements so that they will fit in the most appropriate way. So here's my title bar right here. Of course, I can double click on it and call this Sam's app. What's the next thing that I want to use? How about a list item? So there's my list item. So again, here's where it gets a little bit annoying because this list item is supposed to be connected to an actual object, an actual Xcode object that will populate this list with data dynamically. It puts in dummy data for us, and of course we don't actually want that dummy data in there, so it makes it a little bit tough to build our application with this stuff here. It's kind of distracting. So what you can do at this point is keep it the way it is and perhaps bring it into Photoshop later and just put rectangles around these little things and just delete them out of there and put in your own data. Or we can, if I can click on it, we can just delete it for right now and build something else that's very similar inside Photoshop. So I'm gonna leave that out for right now. Maybe we'll put it back in a second, but let's play with some of the other elements that we have here. Let's put some buttons at the bottom right here, which is kind of cool. We can also drag in extra buttons right into that bar right there. And you'll notice this one doesn't have anything assigned to it. So let's see if we can do that. Let's bring open the inspector, get some of these things out of the way, and when this is highlighted right here, we can go over here and tell it what kind of button we want it to be. So we've got favorites, we've got more. Let's make this one be contacts, sure. And it automatically puts in the contacts icon for you. So presumably you're building an iPhone application, so you're going to want to be using these iPhone pieces and these iPhone parts. So it's doing that for you without much configuring. Okay, so at this point, let's just assume that you're pretty happy with the way your application looks. You can then go up, I believe it's over here under the File menu, and it's called Simulate Interface. Click on it, and what do you know? It opens up this iPhone emulator. And within this iPhone emulator, it will show you exactly what your application looks like. And of course, you can click on these things. They're not going to do anything because they don't have any functions attached to them. But you can still click on them just to get an idea of what it would like when you're actually interacting with it. At this point, what I want you to do is to actually take a screenshot of this iPhone right here. And the way to do that on a Macintosh is to go Apple Shift 4, and you'll notice the cursor turns into this little crosshairs device right here. Yep, this little crosshairs pointer. Then if you press the space bar, you can choose which window to take a picture of. So clearly I want this one. I'm going to click on it. Makes a great little noise of a camera shutter. And then here's our picture right here. What do you know? That's great. So this is the picture that you're actually going to upload to Blackboard to show us all, so that we can have a reference, this iPhone wrapper built around it. Worth noting at this point, this iPhone simulator right here is pretty cool. When you're building applications in the future, you can actually use the Safari, the built-in Safari here. This is something that I was working on a little bit earlier, but you can actually use this built-in Safari to test your web designs. I can go to Yahoo, for example, and it's an actual functioning browser built into this iPhone simulator that works exactly like the browser does in mobile Safari. So if I double click, it zooms in, I can scroll around. If I hold the Option key, I can zoom in and zoom out just like you would with the two-finger touch. The other thing that's really cool about this right here is that this is a great way for you to test your web applications if you are, or your streamlined web page is built specifically for this device. One that I think I've mentioned before, and we'll look at it right now, is a Twitter client, and this is actually a pretty cool web application that looks like a native application. So when you're building your web applications, you can use this as sort of a model. And this Halo application, this Twitter client, is actually just a pretty cool one to look at to get some ideas of how a iPhone application might look. So I'm going to quit out of that. I'm going to quit out of this too. Don't save. The other thing that I want to show you really quickly is called Dashcode. So again, just spotlight for it. There it is. So Dashcode, let me explain quickly what Dashcode is. Dashcode allows you to build some of the very basic foundational elements of an iPhone web application, as opposed to Interface Builder, where we were, which will let you build a native application, or at least the interface for the native application. So Dashcode is exclusively for web applications. But I'm going to use it because we can get some of the same stuff accomplished, but each one has its own perks, and each one also has its own frustrations. So you guys can mix and match. I would also suggest that you take some of these elements and bring them into Photoshop and just swap things out. I'm sure we all have some Photoshop skills, or at least enough to swap things around. Actually, we're going to be talking about Photoshop in 1 second, but quickly, in Dashcode, if you click on Web Application as opposed to Dashboard Widget, click on Web Application, choose Browser. That's always a good place to start when you're building a web application. You'll see what I mean in a second. Browser already builds this piece for you, okay? And again, just like an interface builder, you can make some changes here. You can also, if you want, you can also have the ability to change these list items without having them load dynamically. One of the nice things about um, Dashcode is that you do have the ability to change these items so you can make a more realistic looking list when you're putting your application together. And all you're going to do is you're going to click on this element right here. You're going to change it from, instead of being dynamically driven data, it's going to be static. And we've got an item in there, and I can put in the first item is my name, and then your name, and then of course, his name and her name. Great. So, and it will actually build this list for you. Another interesting thing that you can do here, in the same way that we did simulate the application in the other in Interface Builder, is here we can actually run the application. And of course it's not going to do anything, but it's going to at least show us what it looks like. And of course, if this is the thing that we want to if this is what our application looks like, this is what we're going to take the screenshot of. So again, that's Apple, Shift 4, press the space bar, hover over the window that you want to take a picture of, click, and there it is. And again, here is your picture. Let's see, what else can we do here? Then you're going to click the stop button. It's going to come back. Other things you can do, of course, you're going to open up the parts library again. That's by clicking this little books icon. Here are all the things that you have to work with, and you'll notice they look pretty familiar. So, for example, if you want a button, you're just going to drag it onto the screen. There it is. And you can move it around, do things that you want to do with it. What else is interesting is that if you click on certain elements, you can change their appearance pretty easily by clicking the second icon in the inspector panel. And we can change some colors around. Let's have it go from orange to purple, because that's really attractive. And you can play with a whole bunch of different effects in here. So I would encourage you to spend, I don't know, 20 minutes or so just playing with the tools and getting familiar with the tools before you actually go in there and put something together. Of course, I don't expect you to have something that's really streamlined and really slick, but I do want you to have something that at least gets your point across. Okay, so that is a very, very, very quick introduction into Dashcode and Interface Builder. The next thing I want to show you is just some stuff that we can do in Photoshop. So I linked to something called the iPhone GUI on last week's module, which is sort of part of this week's module. If you open that in Photoshop, you will notice that it is a Photoshop document that contains a ton of the iPhone buttons and widgets and all kinds of little switches and things like that that you can now use to build your iPhone application. The other thing that you will notice, let's open up some layers here, and let me actually pull this panel off. So everything is really, really well organized in this document. So we have elements, we have the top bar, right? And inside the top bar, there are all these, text components that you can then go forward and modify. There's the iPhone, and the iPhone itself has all kinds of stuff with the screen off and the iPhone off, and the reflection you can turn off. I mean, it even goes down to the screen glare on or off. What else do we have here? So Safari, let's see, field, yeah. So you can then take all of these elements one at a time and build out your iPhone application. by just moving, certain components around. And of course, I'm doing this in a really sort of bad haphazard way, but you can do the same kind of thing. So let's see if I can do this in a better way. So if I wanted to move the entire static keyboards group, I could just move it all by itself. So go ahead and use this to build your application if you want to. That is absolutely fine. And again, just like that Twitter client that I showed you guys, which didn't have any of these standard iPhone components, you can sort of build one on your own too. But I don't know where we all stand with our ability to construct things in Photoshop without working from a template. So I wanted to introduce you guys to these three tools, this Photoshop document interface builder and Dashcode. And you can use them to build these applications. So that was a demonstration, a very quick demonstration of these three models to work from and to work with. And I know it was a little bit rambly, but I did it totally ad lib. So yeah, so I hope you enjoy. I hope you have fun with this. Be creative, but also have fun. I mean, this is one of those rare opportunities in college where you get to do something sort of creative and kind of build something that's pretty cool. So go forward with it, have fun, and I will talk to you guys on the discussion board.